Hello, and welcome to another episode of In My Experience with yours truly, Christine DeGinto. This podcast is a space where I speak from lived experience. The moments that shaped me, challenged me, and changed the way that I understand myself in the world. The awakenings, the breakdowns, the moments that cracked me open, asked me to stay present, be embodied, and be honest with myself. I share my stories not to persuade or define truth for anyone else, but to offer perspective, to explore the gray areas we don't often have language for, to slow things down and listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. You'll hear solo episodes where I reflect on my own initiations, spiritual gifts, and the systems that tried to define me. And conversations with guests who have walked strange, beautiful, and sometimes painful paths of their own and come back with wisdom to share with us. I invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own experience as valid. Thank you for being here. This is In My Experience. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to In My Experience. Last week I was talking about the difficult timing of my move and how I was up all night on Friday night and Saturday, all during the day, kept working on the move to get everything out. I neglected to give a shout out to my good friend Christy. Thank you, Christy. I could not have done it without you. She texted me. I got a text message at 6:30 in the morning. I had no idea what time it is. Like I said, I was up all night. I was just pushing. I was team no sleep. Like when I do snow removal, you just keep pushing. I stopped and I went to Wawa to get coffee at 2 in the morning. Keep going. Anyway, I'm painting. I'm doing stuff. Ding, 6:30 a.m. Who could possibly be sending me a message, right? I check it. It's her. She says, "Hey, I'm not doing anything today. I'm not busy. Do you need help moving?" Why, yes. Yes, I do. Let me tell you, she came through with so much wisdom and experience, having moved so many times and assisting other people moving. And I thanked her tremendously. She kept expressing her gratitude for people that had helped her in the past and that it's very important to pay it forward whenever you can. And man, she is an earth angel. Thank you, Christy. So with that aside, I just had to say it. Obviously, I can't believe that I left it out last time. I was mostly talking about myself, which is something that I did in this episode as well. You guys, I'm officially an asshole. Today, I'm speaking with Officer Frank Jones III, who I met when I locked myself out of my camper around 11 o'clock at night a couple of weeks ago in Pennsylvania. Frank is a locksmith in addition to being a police officer, but when I called him, he was still on his police shift from 12 to 12. And in the meantime, he was like, "I'm so sorry, I can't get there until after midnight when I get off work." And I was like, "That's actually fine because I'm looking right now at a stack of wood and I will light that on fire promptly. And I'll just wait for you because there's nothing else we can do." We were locked out with it, unexpectedly, of course. How else do you get locked out? You don't plan that shit. So anyway, I'm so sorry for being so lackadaisical and cursing so much. I'll keep it in check from now on. In the meantime, we had our fire and it was just enough wood to keep it going until Frank arrived. And by the time he got there, we were in great spirits. I apologized for being a silly goose and locking myself out. And I explained that I was moving. Frank asked, "Where to?" And I said, "Right here, into this." I told him a little bit about my divorce and decision to move into the fifth wheel and travel to focus on learning cob building and growing whatever I possibly can. We ended up having a really meaningful conversation, and I was so happy to meet him. Sometimes in our experience, you could never imagine the type of person that is going to respond to assist you and the type of background and experiences that they have. And I was just blown away when I met him. And I'm so happy that he accepted my invitation to be on the show and share a little bit about his experience with all of you. Frank has been a social worker, a Marine, a police officer, and a crisis negotiator. He's also a locksmith, husband, and father who is considering moving into school security so that he can continue supporting people while having more time with his family. Way to get balanced, Frank. That's an excellent idea. Before we begin, I need to acknowledge something about the way that I showed up during this conversation. When I was editing this episode, I was straight up ashamed of myself. I realized that after Frank had shared very openly about growing up in a home where there was physical and emotional abuse, talking about moving 21 times and deciding that when he was only 12 or 13, that he would be a different type of person and that he would become the best husband and father that he could be. I had so many thoughts when he was sharing and discussing his past life experience. I was thinking about how sorry I was that he had to experience that. And I was also thinking about how much I respected the awareness that he had at such a young age and the way that he used those experiences to become a person who helps others instead of perpetuating that same behavior. But I did not say it out loud. I briefly acknowledged what Frank said, and then I directly went into my own trauma. I guess I didn't intend to. I was kind of just making an offhand comment like, I wish you responded to mine. And then I started to talk about my own situation. I just never stopped. And I feel like it was very inconsiderate of me. It was trauma dumping. I was hoping to share a little bit of my story, like I said. I guess I just spoke too soon. And once I started, I had to keep going to describe what had happened. And watching it back, I felt like I had taken his vulnerable moment and used it as a doorway into my own story. It happened. End of story. I reached out to him and I said, "Oh my gosh, Frank, I am so sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. And I'm so sorry." He said, "No need to apologize, friend. I'm so glad that we connected and can continue to talk." So I'm so thankful for his response. And, it's okay. This happens. The important part is becoming aware and making a change. So to all of you, I'm sorry. I am aware. I will be more considerate next time. But sometimes, it's not that I was wrong in sharing my experience. It was more about the timing. I want to be more aware when I'm speaking with anyone, but especially guests on the show. They're trusting me with their stories, and I want to be someone that can truly receive what another person shares without immediately bringing the conversation back to myself. I had considered editing that part out, but that's not real. And it would allow me to present a version of myself who responds perfectly, but it's just not real. I would rather acknowledge it, apologize, and learn from it. Frank, thank you for accepting my apology. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your experience. And thank you for being you. I'm really excited to share this conversation with you all. Let's get into it, and I'll catch you at the end. Frank,
There you
can
go.
you hear me?
I think I unmuted myself
Okay,
now.
okay. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Sorry, I needed a minute to collect myself because I stepped outside to smoke a couple minutes before. And then when I was out there, I'm in Tennessee right now.
Got it.
When I was out there, I heard a kid crying, like immediately through the woods, like
Yep.
screaming, crying. So that always like takes something out of me as like a woman and a mother. Like it always makes me like pay attention. But a lot of the time I feel like I can't do anything. Right.
Yep.
Because what am I
Yep.
going to do? Run through the woods and like interrupt a family that's actually just like having an issue right now? Or like, it's probably not an emergency. But for whatever
Yep.
reason, it always gets my attention. So I needed a minute. And when I was out there, I was listening and I heard a person yelling at the kid. I started sending energy like stop yelling, and I started like, protecting the kid with my energy, and it's like, I'm so sorry. And it's funny. I think that it actually has something to do with our conversation that we're going to have today, and that seems to
Sure.
happen a lot. So
Sure.
yeah. How are you doing?
Good. Life is busy, but it's good. I just got done catching up with I'm sitting here in a parking lot at a grocery store, looking at some old, old friends that I grew up with, their homes, that I don't think they live in anymore, but as a child, they lived in, and there was a kid I went to high school with that needed a key made for his vehicle. So I just got done taking care of that, and I have one more customer later on at like 11:30 ish, 11:45, and then I work from 12 to midnight, my regular job. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
12 to midnight. Jeez.
yeah, I've been second and third shift for 11 years now. Uh, and I've just been thinking about getting out of law enforcement in the last 2 years or so, and making a little bit of a change. Life is just going by so quick, and missing out on a lot of things with the family. And to me, it's just not worth it anymore. The pay is good, the benefits are good, but um, as you can imagine, that just takes a toll on the first responder and their families. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what are you thinking you might get into instead? Do you think full time into your locksmith business or
I don't know
anything
if I
else?
want to. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if I want to have that pressure of um, this. This is really enjoyable for me right now. Like I don't want to say it's a hobby or a side hustle. It's a business, and I'm taking it serious. But I don't need this money to survive. Right? This is like vacation money. That anything I make with the locksmithing. So I don't know if I want that stress and pressure, you know what I mean, that would come with, wow, now I don't have this income, right? The first responder income. If I got to put all my eggs in this basket and have that as my full income, and then what do I do for insurance? And how do there's a lot that goes into play there with thinking of doing this full time. I really enjoy it. I love helping. It's not as stressful as the military or law enforcement. But sometimes it could be its own kind of stress where you're talking about software and computers. If you're trying to program a battery or key fob for someone's vehicle that maybe it's not working at the moment, and that could be stressful, but it's not life or death, right? I mean,
Mm,
okay, I'll come back tomorrow. Things aren't working with your car or this key or this computer. I'll bring some other software. I don't know.
hmm
I'm rambling on, but yeah, there's options. If I'm being honest, what I was thinking is my social work background, maybe using that and my law enforcement background, and maybe do like security in schools. A lot of schools
mm.
are looking for security officers, so that would give me
That
the
would be
chance to
amazing.
use what I'm good at, but also
Yeah.
I'm done at 3 or 4 o'clock, and then now I
Yeah.
can go to the kids' activities or sit down with them and have dinner. And I don't know what that life is like, because their whole lives I've been working second or third shift, so I don't know what a normal work schedule is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so many things I could comment on there about
Yeah,
working and needing income and
yeah,
insurance, and like
yeah,
don't even get me started on like healthcare and insurance, and how like Western medicine and how our health is, and all the things that contribute to that.
yeah,
That's aside.
yeah.
But yeah, it's wild. I was talking earlier by email with my mentor about money, and similarly to me, like I have not been booking a lot of sessions because it's not a necessity in Akashic Records reading. A lot of people aren't focused on their soul evolution, they're focused on eating dinner, like you're saying, like how am I going to pay my bills? How do I have, so understandably, like there's usually a dip when there's an economic stuff going on, like gas is high. We don't really book a lot of readings, it's like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
we were kind of talking about how silly that is because ultimately, monetary systems and hopefully in the future we can balance. And I said, I hope we can make money work for us instead of the other way around, and
Yeah.
it's just so silly. But I think the key in the interim of all of the, things that we can't personally fix is the environment that we spend our time in and what we focus on doing every day. And like you said, balancing home and work life and spending time with your kids. That's it. I think if you miss that, you can't get it back. I think if you missed
Yep.
it, you would be devastated. So it's
Yeah.
very important. I'm glad to hear that you're focusing on that. And I can say from my experience going to school, having like security aides that worked at the school, I still think of them. I still had
Yeah.
impactful moments with them. I have reverence and respect for them, and I appreciated them like in the moment as well. But yeah, everybody loves the security guards, and I think you'd be a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. You can become an influence and support people in a multitude of ways. Just literally being there, pat on the back, high fives for people. It just really makes a difference. And,
Yes.
more serious things too, but just your
Yes.
presence. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So we'll see.
yeah, I think that's a really good idea. You should start
Thank you.
applying.
Well,
Yeah.
I already did. I
Okay,
already did.
good. I'm so glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I'm waiting for a call for when can I come in for an interview? Because I already did.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. So I do want to formally
Thank
introduce you. I have
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
your card that you gave me right
Ah,
here. So,
oh, very
Officer
cool.
Frank Jones III. But
Yeah.
you're much more than that. We'll get into that. I really
Thank you.
appreciated your personal message. Never resist a temporary inconvenience if it results in a permanent improvement. H. Jackson
Yes.
Brown Jr. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I,
That I think that quote a temporary inconvenience for a permanent improvement can go for young adults, can go for you know gray hair. At any age, anywhere in the world, with uh, whatever you're going through, you know, know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. And that there's always a better way, more sustainable way, something that makes you consider the future and what the future would have to be, making things more efficient and effective. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Yeah. So I met Frank one night when I locked myself out of my camper. And he came and unlocked the door. It was great. We had a little fire in the interim and you know, uh he started talking about his work as a police officer, and you were a Marine, you came back, became a social worker, and then became a police officer. Is that the
Uh, so after high school, I went to college, got my degree in social work. At first, I was an elementary education major and switched to social work. And when the recession happened, so I was a foster care case manager up in Detroit, Michigan. And then I was running anger management groups for junior high and high school age boys that were getting in trouble with the judicial system. And then I was also doing some drug and alcohol prevention courses for elementary through high school level. Then when the recession happened back in '09, Michigan was hit hard, and a lot of nonprofits, and there was it was just a time that I was like, okay, people are losing their job. What do I really want to do here? And my father, grandfather, I come from a military family, and they all said, go to college, which I did that. Um, but God willing, if I make it to my 90s, I didn't want to have any regrets. So I joined the Marine Corps, and did 3 deployments in 5 years, 4 active, 1 reserve. And then I got out because I realized maybe this isn't the best environment to raise a family in. I wanted to be married and have kids. Not to say that you can't do that in the military. It's just extremely hard. Um, so then I became a police officer, and I thought maybe the military background and the social work background, um, you know, the military mindset of keeping your head on a swivel and the tactics that come with that, but then the social work background, and 99% of the time we're just out there talking to people that are going through a crisis situation, whatever it is in their life at the moment
Yeah.
that they felt they needed to call 911.
Hmm.
And I thought that would be the perfect mix for me in becoming a police officer. And yeah, it's been great. 11 years. I just like we just talked about a few minutes ago. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze anymore. If it takes a toll on you, seeing and dealing with everybody's
Absolutely.
crisis, right? All these stressful moments that are going on in people's lives, and you're taking that all in and absorbing that, and then your family is, and yeah, there's just a lot that goes with that. So I'm 43 now, and I just want my kids are growing up, and my wife is works full time, so she's been amazing at tackling her job and succeeding at that, and then raising our kids when I'm not around. And I want more time with them. Not that I care about the public and helping people, but I really care about my wife and kids, and
Yeah.
they're as you know, they're growing up so quickly, and time is just flying by, and I just don't want to miss any more time with them.
Yes. Yeah. It's fascinating to me. It seems you already had a very clear mission of helping people and wanting to support them through difficult moments. What inspired you to get into that out of high school into college and going into that?
I think so. Like a lot of people our age, parents are divorced. Mom had me when she was 19. Um, Her and my dad were married for a couple years, and I'm the oldest of five. Now, two of them are Billy and Katie, are half brother and sister. But I call them my brother and my sister, and Joey's my half brother, but I call him my brother. So they each remarried then, and um, my dad is still married to this day. My mom is not, to her second husband. They split again. Um, but a rough upbringing, I would say. We moved a lot. Um, Growing up, mom didn't have a lot of money. There was this time there where she was a single mom and trying to her best to make things work, and working a really good job. But she got with a guy that was very physically and mentally abusive. And then that rolled into the marriage, and us kids, and being in that environment and dealing with that for years and years. um, I was like, man, I can remember as a kid, 12, 13. I'm like, when I become an adult, this is not what my life is going to look like. I'm going to be the best dad. I'm going to be the best husband. um, Granted, nobody's perfect, right? We all have our flaws, and I think we all try uh, to be the best that we can, but we fail, and that's okay. You just got to learn from your mistakes. Um, so yeah, I think that all those pieces and that lifestyle that I was living at that time made me want to help people that are going through whatever they're going through, right, in their personal life, in the four walls in the home. Because you could see kids at school and you think, wow, these kids at school have it all together, but you have no clue what they're going home to and what they're dealing with at home.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so that, I think that's what got me into the social work field, and wanting to help that population, because I could relate to it.
Wow. I really appreciate your depth and insight, and what a perfect placement for you as a soul in this lifetime to come into the family as the oldest and be able to have that perspective from I'll say like the top of the hill, that
Yeah,
you could see your mom struggling as a single mother and appreciated that struggle. I think you mentioned to me when we met that you moved 21 times.
yeah, 21 times. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
wild. It's wild.
yeah,
Um, and I sure would have appreciated you responding when I called 911
yeah,
in 2021. I was
yes,
told
yeah,
I was told by text that I had a PFA against me, and I was like, "Well, I wasn't served with anything, and I
right,
don't agree. Like, how? You know what I mean? Like, nothing happened." So it was like I couldn't really believe it. So I called 911, and it was the Pennsylvania State Police.
state police. Yeah,
I sure would appreciate more training in emotional domestic issues, um,
yes,
for specifically for state police. I feel like they're
yeah,
mostly highway patrol. Like they really
yeah,
aren't there. And a lot of them, because I would always ask anytime I was arrested, I would always ask about their background and what got them into police work and like what they think and what they do. I wasn't very pleased with some of their answers. They were sort of like, well, I was in the Marines and, shit happens and got to do what you got to
yeah,
do. And and they weren't, I was like, well, did any of that inspire you to want to make a safer world? Like kind of questions like that. And they're like, no,
yeah,
it is what it is. You do what you do. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I was like really upset. So I'm highly emotional. And I feel
yeah,
like that is also connected with my spirituality. And it's almost like you can't control it. I think it's beautiful though. But
yeah,
some people are afraid of that, right?
yes,
Had a lot of highly charged energy. I was concerned for my daughter's safety. I called them. I was calm, but then things escalated because they weren't listening to me. They weren't hearing me. And the way that they were treating me was like, I wasn't used to that. Like I wasn't used to that with police officers. I always had great interactions with police officers, especially local ones, because I grew up
yeah,
with them. I saw them around. I may have been pulled over once or twice, but like, never really a problem. I don't have like a criminal record. I pay my taxes. I do what, I
yeah,
take care of my kids. I work. I'm just a normal citizen. So when I called the police, I expected a respectful interaction, um, listening, action, and I didn't receive that in the direction that I was requesting. I was asking for them to check and ask my daughter if she felt like she was safe. I was like, please go up to the house and ask to talk to her and ask her if she's safe. And they would not. It was very interesting. I actually got charged with obstruction of an investigation because that I called for because when I was at my home, but the driveway is like a quarter mile long. And I stayed down at the bottom. I called and I asked for them to come. And I said I was informed by text that there's a PFA against me. I wasn't served with anything. I don't know what's happening. I'm concerned. I want an officer to come. I started to describe calmly like what was happening. And then one of them was like, you can go left on the path. He's like, all right, you can walk ahead. You can go up to the house. You can go, but you have to go left. And for some reason, I didn't like that he told me which direction to go in because to be honest with you, it was like a wide open area and I didn't have to go in any direction. Personally, I don't like being told what to do. So it
yeah,
was sort of like
yeah,
a, um, but I understand the need for like control, but there were at one point like 5 or 6 officers and they were all male and they were like it was during, I guess it was 2021, so still COVID. They had masks on, but they had to keep like taking their masks off. They were all like out of breath. Like when I started like crying, and because they weren't listening to me, I was like,
Yeah.
please go knock on the door and talk to her. But then my ex-husband pulled up the driveway. I thought he was in the house with her, but he wasn't even home. And when he pulled up the driveway, then I was like, well, who is even with her? Like, someone needs to go to the house now, you know? And they wanted me to move out of the way off of the driveway for him. And I,
It was almost like they were taking his side without saying they were big fans.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. So then I was like, no, I'm not. And like he jumped out of his truck and he had two phones and one of them fell on the ground. And I said something, and the police officer was like, you can't talk to him like that. And I was like, I'll fucking do what I want. Because like, oh my God. Like it was just, I was appalled. So it ended with, okay, so there were like 5, 6 officers, at least 3 vehicles. They all have cameras on the cars. I know they have cameras directly on the front. They were angled toward me. They have audio. I don't think they have video on them. It escalated to the point where they threw me on the ground onto the stone driveway and cut up my legs and handcuffed me because I wouldn't move out of the way because I was begging them to go check on my daughter first. And then they said I obstructed the investigation. And then they destroyed all of the audio and video. When it was requested, they said it was destroyed. And I was like, I bet, because that would, you would have looked so bad. You know, it's wild. And I've actually never talked about that publicly. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry to be like talking about, you know, the police with you as an
No,
officer.
no,
And I don't
no, no,
mean,
no.
you know, but Jesus, it was bad. And I was just like, it was almost like things were happening in slow motion.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't believe that that was happening. And then they towed my car, and I had to go, like I had to pay to get it towed. But I went to high school with the person that owns the towing company. He comes out and he's like, "Oh my God, what is happening? I'm so sorry. Like I'm not gonna charge you." Like he like couldn't believe what was happening either. And I was just
Yeah.
like, I just like don't even know. Like this is like another world. Actually, after that, I called the same station because that's the only place that has jurisdiction over my home. And that's where my daughter was located. And I was calling for a safety check. And I said my name, and the guy said, "Not for you." And he hung up. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know that was possible. Um,
No.
But like again, like I said, I'm not a criminal. Always
Yeah.
was good. Didn't even have a speeding ticket. All I did was take care of my kids. I'm confused. So then I started to wonder, like, is there a level of corruption here? Because like, how is this possible? Um, it was wild. There was one officer that when I was transported from my house in the car, one officer who remained quiet the entire time, but he was like there. He turned that camera that's in the car directly at me, and I was sitting in the front. Um, and then, yeah, so it was wild that they said it was destroyed. I was like, I know that there's footage. Like, I know that I was recorded. Like, uh,
There's so much that I could dive into there. But first of all, I'm sorry that you went through that. With your ex and your daughter, that part, I'm sorry for. I'm sorry that the troopers' interaction was not a positive one. And like you hit on it for a second, yeah, a lot of stuff that the state police does is traffic enforcement, like on the highways or roads. Um, and they're not dealing with domestics as much. But and I don't want to talk bad about state police or law enforcement
yeah,
because just like anything, just like anything else, you have bad plumbers and doctors and
Yep.
teachers, right? You name the profession, and there's good and bad out there.
Oh my
So
gosh.
there's a lot of great state troopers. A lot of them are my friends, but there's a lot
Yes.
of state troopers, local police, sheriff's deputies, that it's like, how why did you get into this profession? Well, I think I know why. I mean, in just my opinion, sometimes of why some men and women got into this profession is because they got picked on when they were younger, and
100%. Yeah.
they feel like well, I have a badge and a gun, and you're going to listen to what I say. Listen,
Mm.
there's a time that you need to put someone in their place, that, in certain situations, but 99% of the time you're just listening to people, right? Let them vent, hear their story. They just want to be heard. And then if you can give some advice or help them along and help their evening or day get better, awesome. And then peacefully shake hands and go on to the next one. But so many times, and I sound like that older dad or grandpa. Well, and these younger kids, but I'm 43 now, so like, there's men and women getting into this profession that are 21, so they're half my age, and they're afraid to talk to people. If they are talking to people, they're commanding them to do something, not asking them, right? So, ask first. And then again, I get you're dealing with human beings, so there's human beings out there that aren't pleasant to deal with, and we as professionals, like, we're wearing a uniform and a badge, and we have a lot of authority. Uh, we can take people's freedom away, sure, but listen to what people are saying, and
Hmm.
then try to come up with a solution together if you can. And I get it, like, troopers, local law enforcement, we have calls pending, so we're dealing with a verbal domestic over grass clippings in someone's yard. Meanwhile, we just came from a fatal crash where a 11-year-old just was killed, and the mom's, holding on for dear life in the ER. And these people don't know that. So
Yeah. Oh
it's a
gosh.
roller coaster
Yeah.
that the general public doesn't think about. So I see both sides, honestly. And my social worker heart is like, take a deep breath and relax. Like, this is not that serious. Just listen to this person and hear them out and stop talking. And then the law enforcement side is like, okay, I'm telling you to go this way or do this for a reason, because you might not know X, Y, or Z, fill in the blank, that this is over here. Or I don't want you to go this way because of this. I want you to go
Hmm.
this way. Um, yeah, it's just a lot. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
That's okay. Because again, like you said, there's good ones and bad ones. And
Yeah.
shout out to Trooper Van Billiard because she
Yeah.
was amazing.
Awesome.
She was amazing. She helped me out a bunch of times. She was very considerate when she arrested me the most, first of all. She was the trooper that responded most frequently, but that also means that she saw the whole story the most. So she
Got it.
really knew the underlying dynamics. Now, she's a police officer, so she had to follow the law.
Yeah.
She didn't want to, though. She told me that. She's like,
Yeah.
listen, this doesn't make sense, and I don't agree. It's not
Yeah.
right, but this is what it
Yeah.
is. I have to arrest you. And I would be like, okay. Because
And then the judge and the lawyers are going to sort everything out in court, right? And she's spot on. Like, a lot of times we don't want to do something, or we feel bad, but our hands are tied sometimes. But, like, listen, let this happen the way it's happening right now, and then in court, maybe the judge or the attorney's like, yeah, you know what? This is being thrown out. This is ridiculous. So
yeah,
that's cool that she shared that with you.
yeah, yeah. There was one point where I got charged with burglary by my ex, which is a felony. And when you get charged with a felony, it goes on your record. I didn't realize that. Like, it's not just what's the word? You get charged and then prosecuted, right? Like, or
Mhm.
whatever the determination is. But like,
Yeah.
it was dismissed because it was determined to not be burglary, right?
Yeah.
But I just needed that preliminary hearing to have it
Yeah.
thrown out. but
Yeah.
it was still on my record. I still had to get that expunged. Anyway,
Yes.
that was intentional, because if you have a bad record, it's really hard to get a job. If you can't get a job, you don't have money. If you don't have money, you can't fight back. That was the strategy of my ex the entire time. It was disgusting. He regrets it. He has told me he's sorry. He said, "I'm sorry."
That's good.
It's
That's good.
good. That's good. I knew he was sorry when he was doing it, and I was trying to explain to him how sorry he would be and that we could avoid it all, but he just couldn't hear me. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. Sometimes
Yeah.
when you have like foresight, it's difficult. People can't process what you're saying, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, like we can skip all of this. But it happened. It's over. It's just whatever. But she called me on the phone and said, "You were charged with burglary and there's a warrant for you. But instead of you just getting picked up by, without any idea and having to go through all that with lots of things that happen, like if you go to jail, they throw away everything in your purse." I found that out. Like it's interesting. So, things that are inconvenient happen, and it's hard. It's not fun. So, trying to avoid jail. And she goes, "All right, well, I know you. And I know that if I call you and tell you to meet me at this courthouse so that we can charge you with it, right? Or whatever that process is. Like I have to be formally charged."
Right. Right.
Um, and then she had me drive from the courthouse in Parksburg, which she coordinated, ahead of time so that it would be easy. And we go, everything's done, and she's training another officer while she's there, and she's just like telling the process to him and using me as an example because I'm easy to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just happy. Like this is so much better than getting thrown on the ground. Like
And being around five, like you said, there was like five troopers there too.
yeah.
That drives me nuts too, because, and I get it. Listen, um, being on their side and wearing the uniform, I get officer safety, trooper safety. You want to have more good guys than bad guys, but we're talking about a wife and a soon-to-be ex or an ex-husband that are going through something.
Yeah.
Two troopers, great, cool. That makes sense. Five, like you
Yeah.
don't even have to say anything, and you make that environment tense and uncomfortable when it doesn't need to be. When there's already tenseness and uncomfortable and all these emotions going on. Now you don't even have to say a word as a trooper, but you see five, now you're like, what's going on? Like now you have all
Yeah.
these other feelings and emotions that aren't good.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, again, doesn't mean I'm right. If it were me, all I need is one other guy or gal, and the rest of you can just stay down, a block or two away. And if we radio you and it gets bad or something happens that it escalates, that we feel like we need help, then
Yeah.
get on the radio and make the call. But make that environment, it's already a stressful environment because someone already called 911, right? So why are
Yeah.
we making it even more stressful by sending the whole cavalry there and
Yeah.
making these
Yeah.
individual, like, again, this is me
It's
Monday
crazy.
morning.
I
I'm
actually
Monday
didn't
morning
even call.
quarterbacking it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't call 911. I called the radio room. Like I said, I was really calm and I explained the situation. I said, "I'm here now, but it's a quarter mile away. I'm very far away from the house. I was informed that I had a PFA filed against me. I wasn't served. I don't know what the details are. Nothing happened. I don't understand how that's possible. Like I need to discuss this and I'm concerned for my daughter's safety." Like, and two officers responded, and then more came. And I guess more came when one of them served me with the PFA, but he didn't actually properly serve me. He served me with one sheet of paper. It had no information on it. There was no report. There was no written, like nothing. It was one piece of paper. And he was like, handed it to me and said, "Read that carefully," and like smirked. Like he was an asshole. And
Mhm.
I just didn't need that. And so I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Right.
I will. Do you have a highlighter?" And he was like, "Not for you." It's interesting. They love to say not for you, but like for me, like it's like as if I'm a known infamous, like, what? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm just for reference, I'm 4'11", 100 pounds, 110 pounds, standing there crying in a dress. Like I'm not swinging around. I'm not screaming. I'm crying.
Right.
And I'm like, please, please go check on her. And what? It was wild. But there were some funny interactions as well. Like at another time, I guess it was in 2023, there was a period where I could only talk to my daughter by phone. And sometimes my ex would take the phone and like not answer, right? So then I couldn't talk to her and I wasn't allowed to go there. But if you kept me from talking to her for too long, like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to arrive at where you are and I'm going to check for myself.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Right.
And as soon as I came in the door, because they didn't know I was coming because they didn't answer the phone. As soon as I came in the door, my daughter goes, oh, grabs a bag that she had packed with snacks, like the foresight, the planning. Like this was something that she was like hoping for, right? She's like, bye, and like ran out the door with her bag ready to go with me. So obviously I left. Well, now that could be kidnapping, right? Like I don't have custody of her. I'm not supposed to be there. He could have called the cops and said she just took her, right? But he didn't because I'm sure what would have come out in the discussion of like, why was she so ready to leave with me? Well, like,
Yeah.
obviously I'm not the problem here. Like, that's what the officers would always tell me. It's like, you're not the problem. I'm so sorry this is happening. But it was like, basically, I didn't realize that you could get PFAs against someone by just going in and saying whatever you want, writing things down and saying anything. He said that I had untreated mental illness. Is this the 50s? You could just call someone crazy and then all of a sudden, like, you lose your child and you can't go to your home and you have no income because we worked together in a business. And it took 5 years to get divorced because he wouldn't provide any documentation. I had to hire professionals to value things. It was
Right.
insane. And I could see this coming. I knew that that was the case. I knew that this was like not legit. But of course, everyone is going to say that. Like, I'm innocent. This isn't true.
But
Oh,
how do you feel now? So you said 2021, 2023. Now it's 2026, coming to the end of 2026. I mean,
yeah.
it's already, oh, that's crazy. Time is flying. Like, how do you feel now? Like,
Oh,
what's your, what's
now,
your relationship with, or non-existent, or good,
no.
co-parenting, or
We
really
co-parent. My
cool?
daughter prefers to be with me. I have primary custody now and I homeschool her, but it's summertime and I'm traveling right now. Like I said, I'm in Tennessee. So I'm
Right.
going to an eco village to volunteer and they're not set up for kids yet. So
Sure.
they said, please don't bring kids. So she's actually with him now and
Okay.
he's watching my three cats.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just,
That's
I mean, like,
nice. That's
yeah,
nice.
it's nice. I always wanted to get along. I
Yeah.
always wanted to get along. I just didn't want to be together
Yeah.
anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
But
that
yeah,
makes it easier on your daughter too.
yeah,
That seeing mom and dad are getting along, and yeah, they went through
absolutely.
their rough patches, but now they're working it out for each other, but also for me mainly. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I hate to talk about this kind of stuff and make it public. And I'm not complaining. I'm not saying anything about, like, I'm not trying to talk bad about him. It happened. It's
Sure,
just part of my experience,
it's part of you. Yeah,
yeah. So I did share that with him. He asked me to not talk about him, and I said, I'm really not talking about you. I'm talking about things that happened to me. But uh,
sure, sure.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. Just to make it clear, there is
And
still respect there.
kudos to him for making changes or having different thought process, that he bettered himself and he apologized, and um, yeah, like it could be. just as bad, if not worse, as it was in 2021, and it's not. So that's awesome. For
Yeah.
I'm patting him on the back right now. I don't even know him. Good job, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. He seems to get into things maybe like 6 months to a year after I bring them up, but I don't want to rub it in his face. Like, but it's good. It's good. It's almost like he
Good.
adopts the things that I like was trying to do that he was like fighting for so long. It was crazy. But whatever. I'm just glad he does it.
Yeah.
Takes time to take care of himself and make sure he's like really focused on drinking pure water now. I'm like, that's great. That's good.
Good.
That's
Good.
so, yeah. But, I think it's so important to have more training. Can you tell me a little bit about the police level training for like domestic issues and like empathetic
Yeah.
responsiveness or like what
Yeah.
kind of
So,
like in your opinion what do you think of it?
um, it's non-existent. I don't want to say it's non-existent. It's very. I mean, there's a lot, right? There's a lot to go over in the academy. I mean, as you can imagine, of all the laws out there and everything a police officer, you're wearing many hats, right? Like, you got to be a police officer, you have to be a counselor, you have to be an attorney, a priest, like there's this, like a social
Administratively,
worker,
the
right?
paperwork,
Right, yeah, yeah,
paperwork.
right, exactly. Like stuff like that gets put on out there in movies and on TV shows. Like, oh, it looks like law enforcement's so cool and they're running and gunning. It's like most days you're catching up on paperwork, you're typing reports of all the stuff that you took care of, right? Like that 20-minute incident that you had at Johnny and Susie's house. Now you got to go write a 45-minute to an hour long report about it and do all this paperwork and
Yeah.
submit this. And then you're dealing with your supervisors, and well, they didn't like the way you did this or this, and now you have to fix it. So there's a lot of stress internally that doesn't get talked about or looked at, in departments, that officers, troopers are going through. Um, so yeah, that's huge. But I don't want to get sidetracked. Your question, domestic violence, crisis, all that stuff. So I was a negotiator on the crisis negotiator on our county SWAT team. Um, so during the pandemic, our call volume went through the roof. I mean, as you can imagine, people aren't at work, and maybe things were rough in the home, and now the spouses aren't going to work, the kids aren't going to school, and everyone's inside this home. As you can
Mm.
imagine, some mental health problems were skyrocketing and domestics were skyrocketing. So if an officer or a trooper gets in a situation where they feel they can't handle it, then they call us for the SWAT team to come out to handle that crisis. And as a negotiator, not to say the operators didn't do any work. We operators and negotiators work together on the county SWAT team, but negotiators we're the front line, right? We're talking or listening to the individuals going through the crisis first, and if we can't come to an agreement or help solve whatever's going on in the moment, then the operators come and play, and they enter the house and bring the individuals out safely. Um, but in the academy,
Hmm.
like I went to the academy in, I don't know, June of 2015, and then we graduated November 2015. So in that time frame, there's a lot that the instructors have to teach you. Um, and domestics, it's kind of like you're thrown through to the wolves. Like they talk, I don't want to say they don't talk about it. They talk about it because it's definitely, domestic calls are scary calls to go to because, for example, let's say the wife, and I'm only going to say this because most of the time the wife is the victim and the one calling. Not to say that men can't be victim, because we absolutely can,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but most of the time the wife's calling and saying, "Hey, Johnny's drunk and he's beating me up, or I need the police here." Well, when we arrive, sometimes Susie, who called 911 on Johnny, then immediately flips the switch and was like, you know what, get out of my house, and like attacks us and takes Johnny's side, or she doesn't like that we're there. There's just a lot that get involved in that in
Mm, mm,
domestics. They're not fun. They don't get talked about a
yeah.
lot in the academy. You're kind of thrown to
Yeah.
the wolves, and um, you hit the streets, and you're being trained by your FTO, and you learn as you go what domestics are like, and everyone's different, right? You could go to the same house 15 times dealing with the same people, and it's a different situation every time, and you can't get complacent, because if you're like, well, this is Susie, this is just how she acts, the one time you go in there and you're complacent, well, now Susie has a gun and she's firing the gun at you. You know what I mean? So you just can't. You can't. It's a tough situation. I feel
Yeah.
for the individuals going through the crisis and whatever they're going through, the mental health, the substance abuse, the physical, emotional abuse. I feel for the law enforcement that are going there to try to fix the problem, right? In 15, 20 minutes, we're expected to, hey, fix this problem, and now we're on to the next one. You and I know that that's not possible. Like, people have built this whatever's going on for all these months, years, and it just exploded on that day at that time, and now law enforcement has to go in there and fix it. Um,
And then be
it's a tough.
expected to carry the weight of that energy
Yes,
just 20 minutes
yes,
later into a new situation. Like, do
yes,
you have any cleansing practices to
and
like
have a smile
clear?
and have a smile on your face, and be very professional, and not curse, and not let your anger out on an individual that's complaining about some nonsense to us, right?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
aren't in the crisis moment. To us, it's nonsense, but to them, in that moment, that means everything. And I need you to fix the problem, sir, ma'am, officer, trooper.
Yeah.
Um, and you're like, do you know what I just came from 20 minutes ago? Like, um, so I just
Yeah.
went down a rabbit hole. There's not a lot of training. It's trial and error. You're thrown to the wolves. Um, but us as negotiators and as crisis intervention negotiators, we like to get out there and do some training for departments and officers. Um, we have a great I live in Lancaster County. Um, we have a great organization and team that gets out there, and it's called CIT, Crisis Intervention Team. Um, so we have like social workers, psychologists, law enforcement, negotiators that teach these officers skills that they could use on the job in moments like that, where here's tools that you could use and keep up here to
Hmm.
remember next time that, hey, stop running your mouth and just listen for a moment to what Sally or Johnny's saying, and here's what you could do to help make that run smoother than it just did for you, because it just blew up in your face, and you didn't represent law enforcement well, you didn't represent yourself well, and you didn't help the situation. So we just we try to give them tools to help with that. Sorry if it gets loud. It just started to rain here, and I'm in my
Yeah.
car.
That's so funny because it just started to rain here, but I'm in Tennessee. I
Uh,
wonder if it's the
so
same
yeah,
storm.
yeah, the sky is completely gray. So yeah, it might get loud. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just heard a thunderclap. So I love thunder and rain. It's good. We need that.
Yes.
Um,
So I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah, there's not
yeah,
enough training at the
not
beginning. You
enough.
almost learn. You almost learn as you're dealing, as the calls come in. You're trying to better yourself. If you're a good officer or trooper, right? And like we said, there's bad troopers out there. There's bad officers. There's bad plumbers, teachers, doctors. So if you're a good one, you want to always be sharpening your tools and go to training, and it's out there. The officers and the troopers just got to look for it, for one, and the departments have to have the funding to send them to it, because if you're sending troopers and officers to these trainings, now you're shorthanded on the road to answer the calls. So now you're either, one, you're shorthanded, so now calls are going to start pending and piling up on you, which aren't good for the citizens that are calling 911, and it's not good for the law enforcement that's trying to handle these calls, or you're forking out money for overtime to call in officers on their time off because you have officers that are on vacation or sick or at training for domestic violence, whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So there's a lot involved, a lot that goes on.
Do you think you would have any interest in trying to advocate for better and more training, more accessible? And what
Oh, that would,
I
yeah,
don't
that
want to
would
put you
be,
on the spot, but
yeah, yeah.
what ideas would you have like, to make that possible? Like more like, I mean, you don't have to physically go in training. You could take webinars and you know what I mean?
No, that's right. Absolutely. And we do have, so just like, for example, real estate agents, so you have, and teachers, you have continuing education, right? Where you could be a teacher for 10 years or a real estate agent for 10 years or a police officer for 10 years. But you got to continue to go to these courses, whether it's
Yes.
in person or online, because things are always changing, right? In the school setting, in real estate, in law enforcement, laws are changing. So the world is just changing. So how do we adapt to
Mhm.
this? Um, so there are absolutely continuing education courses that we have to take in order to still be a lawful law enforcement that's up to date on all their credentials. Now, do officers
Mhm.
zone out and not pay attention? Sure. I mean, again, you're talking about human
100%.
beings. You're talking about human beings that you can't. I mean, we're all different, right? Even though we're
One
all the same, and so we're all the same in so many ways. Everybody's different too.
one
So,
officer didn't know how to take my fingerprints effectively because
yeah,
he told me to dry my hands.
to dry them.
Yeah, but apparently you
Yeah,
need some moisture. You usually
you want
spray
some
water.
damp. You want it damp. You want it damp. Yeah, yeah,
Apparently
yeah.
that's like the number one rule, right?
Yes, yes.
I tried to send him a message. Okay, so he arrested me, processed me, was doing my fingerprints. It was a struggle. He started saying things like, couldn't have to do it the old way, old fashioned way, and things of the like. And I was like, wait,
With like
what?
the ink, with the ink
Yeah, I was
instead
like,
of like the, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I was like, I'm not doing anything like wrong. Like I've done this before. Like
yeah.
I don't know what's happening. I'm doing everything you're telling me to do. Like, but anyway, then he took me to the Chester County Prison, and the beautiful, wonderful woman who worked in there, she was so kind. See, this is what I'm saying. There's always angels.
Yeah.
Any tough situation I've ever been in, there is always at least one angel. And I see them immediately. And I'm so thankful that there are people who take these difficult jobs and still remain a pillar of light and
Yes,
support and
yes,
humanity. It's just really, I'll never forget. I don't know her name, but I think of her sometimes. She's funny.
yes.
She's so. First of all, she has to process me, and the first thing she does is spray my hand, and then it puts it down, and it's super clear, and I'm like, oh,
Imagine that.
that's all it is. You
Imagine
just have
that.
to get it wet first, right? She's and it's funny because this particular officer was quite attractive, and he was younger, and I tried to send him a message on Facebook, and I was like, I just wanted you to know that I think you should know by now that you just have to get it wet first. He didn't respond.
He didn't respond.
But you can still have a good sense of humor even though you're dealing with nonsense. So
That's right. That's right. I'm glad she understood that, and
oh yeah.
it worked out.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. She was great though. She was really kind to me, and I remember she just was supportive.
Yeah, she
It's
understood
important.
you're a human being going through something, and uh, just because we have doctor in front of our name or officer in front of our name doesn't make us any better than you or anybody else out there. We're a moment away from a choice or two away from roles being reversed and us being fingerprinted, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, you just, I think a lot of people just need to remember, like, we're on this earth for a short amount of time. Like, w- let's help one another as much as possible. Again, there's evil people out there in every profession, in every walk of life, that just don't want to do good, and want to harm people. I understand that, but for the most part, for the most of society is are there
Hmm.
good people that
Yeah.
sometimes just make some bad choices, and they need to learn from those choices, and then they will, and they'll move on, and life will get better. But in that moment, yep, they're a good person, they just made a bad choice. Let me be with you and walk with you alongside you, and that here's what here's the steps that we're going to take, and tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah. Every lotus grows in the mud. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
beautiful. I love it. And so, again, so thankful for people like you in the world. And I appreciate your time so much today.
Of course.
Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
um not at the moment, not that I can think of, but I mean, you ask away and I'll answer, and maybe have me on another time and we'll
Yeah.
talk more. Yeah,
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to hear. Please update me of how it goes, your
all right.
job application. Because that what I'm seeing in my mind, because again, I don't know if you know this, I'm a little bit psychic. You would be so great in that arena. Inspiring.
I would love to be in the schools
Yeah.
with the young adults, like middle school, high school age,
Yes.
and just being a positive, um,
Presence.
supportive presence there,
Yeah.
uh, that make them feel safe, but also that for them to lean on if they have questions, or just a role model, or just all these things. And then at the same time, that's helping me mentally, and it's also helping me with my family and what
Yeah. I love it. I'm so excited for you. And thank you. Thank you for being you. And thank Thank you so much for listening to this conversation with Frank Jones III. Frank's perspective helped me hold several truths at the same time. He could acknowledge that some of my experiences with law enforcement should have been handled with more compassion, while also explaining what an officer may be carrying when they arrive at a scene. A first responder may be leaving a devastating accident or family crisis, and 20 minutes or so later be expected to arrive at another call, calm, professional, and completely unaffected. That does not excuse treating someone without empathy, but what it does show is why officers need better training, emotional support, and ways to process the things that they experience on a daily basis. Frank repeatedly returned to the importance of listening. Most people who are experiencing a crisis want to tell their story and know that somebody has actually heard them. That lesson became personal for me when I watched this episode back. I was hoping to share a little bit of my own experience, but I spoke too soon. Instead of staying with what Frank had shared, I went directly into my own trauma and took up far more space than I intended to take up. I was a little ashamed when I saw it, but I also don't want there to be shame where a lesson could be. I want to be more aware, more considerate, and more capable of recognizing when another person needs me to remain in their experience before I begin sharing. My story still deserves space, and Frank's story deserves space first. Thank you so much for sharing that, Frank, and for accepting my apology, and for sharing your experiences. I truly hope that the opportunity to work in a school is amazing for you, and I can see how meaningful your presence could be for young people who may need a safe adult, a positive role model, or someone who understands that we really never know what another person is going home to. As Frank reminded us, a title, profession, or uniform does not make anyone better than anyone else. We are all human. We all make mistakes. And what matters is whether we're willing to listen and make a more considerate choice next time. Every lotus grows in the mud. Thank you for listening to In My Experience. I'm Christine DeGinto. I'll catch you next week. And as always, enjoy this track by Stilo Free, Lights and Shadows.
Pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? Nowadays you don't gotta mind me. In the end I hope you really find peace. I had to set my mind free. I had to let my soul breathe. Moon sign Pisces, heart broke psyche. Angels all around me, but demons wanna fight me. Feel like I had to fight myself. No, I had to look inside myself. With a predisposition to addiction. Through the negatives, I'm still focused on the vision. It's sorta like that first scene you see in Pulp Fiction. I see the end, but it's really only the beginning. I had to find a way to be grateful for them locked doors that you made close. When doves cry, it's so painful, but the purple rain is so graceful. Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? I'm fighting battles, lost between the lights and the shadows. Tryna shoot me down, I'm dodging all the ammo. Left me hanging, I escaped from the gallows. Swim through the ether, blowing on a reefer. Running like Rev when he rapped about Adidas. It's like my flow is heaven sent. My energy could shift the cards in your tarot deck. Life ain't always what it seemed. An alternate reality, I'm living in a dream. I got the Stussy on the T with the 501 jeans. Ray-Ban Lokes with the Air Max 3s. Mandela effect, got me living my best. I gotta jump timelines when I'm living in stress. And a spliff in my chest, it got me lifting and blessed. Peace, you know the rest.